2017 is about to wrap up, and wow, it was a crazy year in Yu-Gi-Oh! We had two different formats where two very different decks were basically the only deck that you could play. First, we had the Zodiac format where Norden was still legal. Zodiacs could draw anywhere from 5 to 7 cards if they went first. All they needed was a single Barrage, or Terratop, or Rat Pierre, or Tenki, and that was absolutely ridiculous. I hated that format. I actually only played in one event during that format, and it was awful. Eventually, down the line, we got to the Spiral Double Helix release, and then we had another sort of format where there's only one deck that was playable, and that was pretty much only for like 2 or 3 weeks, which is good. But overall, it's kind of strange that we had two formats where there was only one playable deck, because there always has to be a best deck. If we look at like the format right now, Spiral is still the best deck, but you can like top a regional without playing Spirals. You can do, I mean, if we're talking about just getting your invite at a regional, you can play a whole bunch of different decks. But when Spirals were at full power, when Zodiacs had Norden, there was basically no other deck you could play where you had any chance of winning. And usually that happens only once a year in Yu-Gi-Oh! But it happened twice this year, and I'm a little afraid for 2018. Hopefully they sort of dial back the power creep in that regard. Also, 2017 marks the year that Link Summoning started, so it's kind of divided right down, well, not quite down the middle, but the last third of 2017 has pretty much just been all Link Summoning, and the previous 2/3 of it were, I mean, mostly just Zodiac based. So it's really weird to pay attention to like the shift of how the card game in general is moving forward, because from 2018 onward, we're just always going to have Link monsters in the game, at least I presume we are. So anything prior to 2017 is going to be completely different than after 2017. But 2017 is sort of the weird middle year where we have half and half of like the old format versus the new format. And so those two things were pretty strange, and I wasn't really super happy with 2017. I haven't really been playing a lot over the past couple months. I mean, I've tried to make it to some stuff. I've been to a couple of regionals. I went to YCS Dallas, but I haven't really been playing that much, and a lot of my time has been spent focusing on making videos. Even still, though, there were some cards that I was very happy to be released, and that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. We're going to talk about the top 5 favorite cards that I had released during 2017. Well, I didn't release them, but cards that I currently own that released in 2017 that I was really happy came out. So at number 5, we have Subterror Final Battle. This is a good time to mention that this list is really biased. It's not just what I think the best cards were, it's the cards that I personally like a lot. Subterror Final Battle is a card that I asked pretty much since the very first wave of Subterror support, and it's a real shame that it took so long to get the good Subterror cards. If you look at the initial 4 Subterrors released, they were really good. Both Stalagmo and Umastrix were really good in terms of their effects. One sort of got rid of your opponent's cards, one gained you cards. Nemesis Warrior was really powerful as well. Hidden City is obviously like the best card in Subterrors, no matter what iteration they were. But after that, we saw 2 sets of basically just garbage, which was really disappointing because I had really high hopes for Subterrors. I thought they had a lot of potential, and I kept asking for a Ghost Trick scare. And eventually, in the very last wave of Subterror support, we got not only Subterror Phoenix, which is a great hand trap and revival card, but we got Subterror Final Battle, which is a Ghost Trick scare and then like way more, and Subterror Final Battle really brings the deck together. Phoenix is obviously a really high impact card, but I think that Final Battle is crucial for that deck's success, at least in the way that it was intended to be played. And it's a real shame that it took so long for that to get released, because if Subterror Final Battle and Subterror Phoenix were released in the second wave of support, I actually think Subterrors would have had like a chance to be competitive if all of their support ended up being that good. But Konami just kept giving them garbage and garbage and garbage, and then at the very end, by the time that we were in the thick of Zodiacs, they said, oh, okay, you can like have these really good cards, but like the format's way too fast now, so good luck playing Subterrors. And that kind of sucks. But I really did appreciate Subterror Final Battle coming out, so that if we ever get Subterror Guru, at least the deck is semi-playable. Number 4 is Dragonic Diagram. So I know a lot of people don't like this card, and I think a lot of people have sort of a bad mindset about it just because they associate it with Masterpiece. But Dragonic Diagram let a lot of decks that wouldn't have been playable be playable. Good examples of this, I mean, the best example that I can think of is Dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are basically unplayable without Dragonic Diagram. I mean, they've pretty much fallen off the map competitively outside of like a couple regional tops. without having access to Lithosagam, which was the best target you could search with Dragonic Diagram. But beyond that, Dragonic Diagram just let a whole bunch of crazy decks be playable that wouldn't have been possible without it. And that's because Dragonic Diagram sort of amps up the self-destruction effects in Yu-Gi-Oh! For a really long time, it was actually kind of difficult to destroy your own cards. They were like, I mean, if you look at early Cosmo lists when they had Forerunner and Dark Destroyer and not Tin Can, they had to play Generation Shift for like OTKs. That was like a real card that topped multiple regionals until people got Cosmojo. So that pretty much goes to show how far people will go to destroy their own cards. And then we got Metal Foes, and those were cool because they could destroy any of your face-up stuff. But the problem was that you had to play like a large engine because they had to actually be able to set cards from your deck, and that meant if you were playing more bricks and stuff. Then we got Zodiac Barrage, which could destroy stuff as well, and you didn't have to play so many bricks. You could even just play 3 Barrage, 2 Rat Pier, 1 Whiptail, and pretty much get away with that. And then finally we got Dragonic Diagram, which not only lets you destroy stuff on the field for free, you also get to destroy stuff in your hand, so you can make a lot of different crazy decks. My personal favorite that I came up with was the Box of Friends deck that I use actually in tandem with Metal Foes, and I used it to summon, to pop Box of Friends, add the original Masterpiece to your hand, and then Box of Friends could summon some Draco Slayers and Vector and stuff, and then you could bring out the original Masterpiece. And that was a pretty crazy strategy that was only possible from Dragonic Diagram. But also, I played Dinosaurs for a really long time last format, or a couple formats ago, pretty much ever since the Dinosaur Structure deck got released, all the way up until the WCQ. I played Dinosaurs at every single event, and I love that deck, and it was only possible because of Dragonic Diagram. Next, I'm going to mention Fright for Kraken, because Fright for Kraken and, well, Fluffle Penguin for that matter, were both released and made Fluffles way more competitive than they ever were. Fluffles have a lot of low-key broken cards. They have a Stratos and Fluffle Dog. Fluffle Wings is one of the most obscene cards I've ever read in my life. Fluffle Bear is really good at cycling through stuff, as well as Toy Vendor. But what they really needed to take them over the edge was an efficient way to actually finish out the game, and that's what Fright for Kraken was. Because Fright for Kraken opened up a whole bunch of 8,000 damage OTKs. As long as you had Fright for Kraken and Sabretooth, that was exactly 8,000 damage. Really easy to do. And then like Fluffle Penguin was good because it actually let you dig through your deck and sort of unbrick your hands as long as you could perform 1 fusion summon. So when these cards came out, I obviously bought the entire Fluffle core in like super rare and secret rare and stuff. It looks really cool, and I played it at a couple regionals, and it was a lot of fun. And even though it wasn't the most competitive deck, it was a good deck that could really take advantage of Brilliant Fusion, obviously like my favorite card ever. And I had a lot of fun playing Fluffles. Maybe not as much success as I would have liked to get, but still, it was a pretty good rogue deck, and I think we'll see it pop up again maybe someday. Number 2 is Bao-Baboon. So I love Bao-Baboon. It was one of the key components of Dinosaurs when I eventually had the crazy idea to mix Yang Zings, Dinosaurs, Bao-Baboon, and Zodiacs together. And the one thing that sort of tied all those strategies together was Bao-Baboon. Bao-Baboon is so good, and it was good in that deck because the deck had a ton of crazy powerful plays, except that you needed to play like 4 different bricks. So if you played Bao-Baboon, not only were you adding to your own strategy by giving another target to destroy with Diagram, you were also shuffling back the brick cards while hopefully drawing into the broken cards. And I did really successful stuff with Bao-Baboon. I mean, at least relatively. I kind of flopped at the WCQ, but that was probably more due to a poor metagame call on my part. But at the many locals and the regional that I played Yang Zing Dinosaurs, Bao-Baboon was incredibly efficient, and I wish I would have discovered it sooner, because I think I could have probably made a bigger impact with it. But by the time that I figured it out, it was pretty late in the format. But man, Bao-Baboon was so good, and I love that in Zodiac Metal Foes as well. It's just such a crazy cool card. Not so good anymore, but during the time that it was powerful, it was very powerful, and I like to play it in pretty much every single deck, and a lot of those decks also included Dragonic Diagram. Number 1, my number 1 card released in 2017 is Fright for Patchwork. This card really boosted Fluffles to the next... Oh, what is that? Oh, Fright for Patchwork hasn't gotten released? Oh, okay. Number 1 is Mistar Boy. Mistar Boy is a really cool Link monster that helps out Frog Paleozoics, which is pretty much the only deck that I enjoy playing anymore. A lot of people hate going against Totally Awesome, and I get that, but I like that deck a lot. It has a lot of cool looking cards, and it looks really nice in max rarity, and one of the main reasons that deck's good for me personally is because it's the first deck that I've played since Link Summoning came out where I don't feel like I have to go out of my way to Link Summon, and the reason is because Mistar Boy is a card you actually want to make. Yes, it is important that it opens up the 2 extra zones or whatever, but it's also cool because it boosts all your guys. It makes Dupe Frog 2500 defense. It makes Totally Awesome just an obscene amount of 2700 attack. And in general, Mistar Boy is just really powerful. You can do a whole bunch of OTKs with it. It actually recovers stuff when it dies. And even though it has a pretty simple effect, and even though it's just a direct copy and paste from Missus Radiant, it still actually makes a huge difference in the deck. And it's so far the only Link monster that I've really felt myself gravitate towards. And man, look at that sick top hat and monocle. It's so cool. But anyway, that was my top 5 favorite Yu-Gi-Oh cards 2017. Hopefully, if we all pray to God, Fight for Patrick can be on my top cards of 2018 or 2019, because if it doesn't get here by 2019, it's probably never getting here. But let me know what you guys think about my list. Let me know what your top 5 cards are, or even like your favorite card overall. It doesn't have to be the best card. Obviously, Subterra Final Battle didn't make any competitive impact, but just cards that you find yourself gravitating towards and playing a lot in the decks that you like. So I will see you guys later. Bye.